And we are back. And in this week of Valentine's Day, we wanted to do unusual love stories. You and I did Harold and Maude, and we're going to pair that with 2004's just beautiful classic. I can't believe this movie is 20 years old. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. It's rated R with a runtime of 1 hour and 48 minutes. It's playing on several platforms, but we caught it on the TCM app. Yeah. It's going to go away. So
February
if you can,
27th, it's gone.
Yes. You have a couple of days. If you can get on it, get on it. This is probably one of my favorite love stories ever.
It's my favorite. Yeah. Bar none.
Yeah. Well, I think I love Casablanca. It's my favorite. But I think this is definitely in my top 3.
This one gets me.
Yes. I think, yes. If you've ever fallen in love and fallen out of love and had your heart broken, then yes, absolutely, absolutely. This is directed by Michel Gondry with writing credits to Charlie Kaufman, Michel Gondry, and Pierre Bismuth. This won the Oscar for Best Original Screenplay, and I mean, rightfully so. Rightfully so. Just brilliant storytelling in this. This is, again, the story of boy meets girl, boy loses girl. Boy finds out the girl has erased him from her memory banks and then decides to do the same out of spite. I'm going to go around the table and get impressions. This is the first time we've watched this with our kids, and I am curious to hear what they think. Olive G, I'm going to start with you. What did you think of the film?
I thought this movie was... I thought this...
Take a deep breath.
Okay, I thought this movie was great.
Yeah. What'd you like about the film? Did you like the story? Did you like the characters?
I guess I like the story.
Yeah, it's different, right? It's not like your typical Hallmark.
Now these people
falling in love with the hunky vet.
Yeah.
Yes, this is somewhat deranged. Yes, there's broken people coming together and starting a relationship. Did you have a favorite character, Olive G?
Probably the girl.
Clementine, played by the lovely Kate Winslet. Did you have a favorite scene?
My favorite scene was when that bastard Fred or Freddie, whatever the hell his name was. Patrick. God, I hate you. Gets dumped by Clementine. Was like, you piece of crap. Not only did you like go through this guy's like all this guy's personal like stuff, and you're like, he had a cheat sheet to go out with her, you know,
yeah,
like that was insulting. He was a piece of crap. He deserved that.
Yeah, the Hobbit, otherwise known as Elijah Wood. Yes, I didn't like Patrick either. I agree with you 1,000%. Jerk face. I'm gonna ask you another question, Olive G. If you fell in love with somebody and then you got your heart broken, if you had the ability to erase them from your memory, would you?
It depends on how deep the relationship was.
You know what? That's a fair answer.
Yeah, that's
a fair answer. Absolutely.
Measured response.
Measured response. Excellent, by the way. I'm going to go to you, Gigi. What'd you think of the film?
I thought that this film was really, really good.
Yeah, what'd you like about it?
I don't know. I guess I liked when during the procedure, Clementine and Joel's relationship.
You get to
how
see
they went
it
through it, yeah. Because some of the scenes were like painful, and there were times when I did not like either character. But overall, I think that it was shown very well and realistically in some cases what relationships are like.
Yes, like most relationships, there's ups and downs. There's good parts. There's bad parts.
Yeah, and it's interesting how they show the bad bits in the beginning, because I guess the memory erasing, it goes from most recent to further back, and you just see how like bad it was, but then you start seeing the moments that
were lovely.
Yeah, absolutely lovely, and it's sort of like you forget. Like I guess a lot of people, you just remember the bad stuff,
or it's so fresh in your brain
because that's like the most recent. It's the most fresh. It's the most painful,
right?
And then you just forget. Well, with all of that attachment was there for a reason. That affection was there for a reason. And then when you start seeing it,
yeah.
And seriously, when he says, "Let me keep this one,"
it gets me in the gut every time. And I also like to add to your point. There's that scene where he's, I think, in the woods, where he sort of enlists her help to help him keep her. Yeah. And he's like, we're here because of you. And she's like, I'm sorry, that I'm impulsive. And in that moment, he says to her, yes, I know. It's one of the things that I love about you.
Yeah.
That even though they've fought, they've hurt each other, there's still that love, kind of to your point. Like, this relationship was founded on something, right? Mm-hmm. And then later on in the story, when it's revealed to both of them, because now at the end, they've both had the procedure. They don't know who the other is. And yet they somehow remembered to go to Montauk, and they reconnected again. So it's kind of interesting because it felt like even though Lacuna was doing these procedures, it still felt like they were not great, because you also have the example of Mary and Harold, how she had a thing for Harold. What'd you say?
Howard.
Oh, what did I say?
You said Harold.
Oh, Harold?
Like Harold and Maude.
That's why I said Harold, because he's still in my brain. Howard. You have the example of Howard. Thank you, Jay, for catching that.
Disgusting Howard.
Aw, I love Tom Wilkinson. Rest in peace. You have the example of Mary and Howard. So they had a relationship, right? And then they ended their relationship. And I don't know if we want to deep dive on this. I also wondered if Mary erased it by choice, or did she feel pressured into it?
I think she felt pressured. That little bit you hear on the tape where she actually says, "I don't think I could do this," and he's like, "We agreed."
Yeah, but I wonder if.
And honestly, he was clearly the dominant one in that relationship, because she was just puppy dog moon eye.
Right,
Ooh, Howard.
Yeah.
What do you think Howard's doing? Howard's so brilliant. You're like a maestro or something.
Yeah.
A surgeon. Piano.
Yeah.
D-writer.
Yeah, exactly.
That made me laugh when she said that. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting because it didn't. That obviously that erasure didn't completely take, or maybe it did, but then Howard's wife kind of busted that up.
Yeah. I mean, it did, but it doesn't erase the initial attraction.
And she still obviously felt that. She
still felt that.
Yeah, because even though she was dating, what's his name?
It was innate in her.
Yeah.
Yeah. For better or worse, I mean,
yeah.
It's not like Tom Wilkinson is some Adonis.
She liked him though. In the tape, she said, I pictured us married with children, and I'm like, okay, he's old enough to be your dad, but
different
rock
strokes
on.
for different folks.
There you go. There's a king for everybody.
This older men.
Gee, I forgot. Did you have a favorite character?
Probably not.
No. Okay.
I like Joel and Clementine, but I couldn't say like either of them were my favorite.
Was there any scene or sequence in it that you thought was really good?
Like I said, I like when the procedure's being done. At the beginning, I was a little confused because it like kind of jumps.
Yes.
But I was able to figure it out. And when the procedure's going, because I figured out at the beginning, when there's like multiple Joels, and I was like, what the hell is even happening? But during the procedure, I didn't. Like, I understood it was for the story, but I just didn't like seeing them cut to, like, outside. Because I didn't like Mary, and I didn't like Howard, and I didn't like Mark Ruffalo. And I especially didn't like Patrick.
I was going to say, any thoughts on Patrick?
Patrick's a piece of crap.
I really wish that even though it was satisfying seeing Clementine break things off, I really wish that he got, like, thrown in jail, because that's not legal. You can't do that.
Yeah, that was...
He stole her underwear.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
He stole her underwear and then used things, like medical things, for his own gain. That's not really allowed.
Fair enough. That is
That's
unethical.
an illegal move.
Sleazy,
for sure.
Sleazy Patrick. Shame on you, Frodo.
Yes, Hobbit. If you had your heart broken and had the ability to erase that part, would you?
No.
No? Why?
Because if I ever got my heart broken, I wouldn't want to erase the person, because everything you do in life is like an experience that adds on to like your own like knowledge of living or whatever. So I feel like erasing it would just like be kind of setting yourself back, and it just wouldn't be beneficial. Like, you might feel like, oh, I'm getting rid of these hurt feelings, but like it's important because you're human.
Right. Because you can't have good stuff without bad stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What about you?
What?
Thoughts? Feelings?
I love this movie.
Yeah.
Seriously, this, as far as love story movies go, this is my absolute favorite.
It's told in such an interesting way.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why the way that it's told. Because we've watched a ton of love stories, and it's always like, oh look, they meet and they're happy, and then there's some crap, ridiculous manufactured drama where somebody's feelings are hurt for something ridiculous. And then it's like, oh, well, then they get back together and everybody's super happy at the end. And this one just chucked all that crap out. It went in its own way. You come in and it's just a disaster. And then you have like that whole element of the sci-fi element where it's like, yeah, we could remove her from your mind, and it's kind of brain damage, but it's like a night of heavy drinking.
Yes. I thought that was a funny analogy.
And then the way that they show it, this just so creatively, so brilliantly done with this, like everything is just like a nightmare, but not like a horror nightmare. Although there were some
weird
horrific elements where where people's faces were disappearing.
And,
But like the deep shadows in the back and the blurring and the fact that you like things that were there just weren't there. The way her name suddenly disappears off that card.
Yeah.
Because it's happening as he's experiencing these things. Like her name is erased.
Yeah.
And when they're in the bookstore and all the books start vanishing, or when we're at the drive-in and that disappears. Everything is just done so well, and just the way that they did it from the worst parts to the best parts.
Yeah.
It like, because in the beginning you're like, they're terrible to each other. They're you could see them. You're like, I don't think they should be together. This is probably the best thing for them.
Yeah.
But then you see the relationship,
the sweet parts
when they're under the blanket. Jesus,
and she's like, "Am I pretty?" And he's like, "Yeah, of course you're pretty." And then she says that whole thing about being a little girl and how,
like the things that you share with each other.
Yeah.
When you're in like a really loving, caring relationship, you know each other's soul basically because you're open and honest and you feel comfortable saying these things to this other person.
Yeah.
And it's just you develop such a connection. And like that moment especially was like extremely dear to Joel. And to see it disappear, the way they filmed that, the way they made her just sort of like just disappear under the blanket into darkness, and the lighting changed so drastically.
Yeah.
It was like this sort of like warm light coming through the blanket over them, and then suddenly it was just dark. With high contrast and blurry edges, and so damn good.
Yeah, really, really well done.
And then
really well done.
The way it was like all wrapped up with them in the hallway.
Yeah.
Just talking, and he just says okay, and they both say okay.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It is absolutely a masterpiece. Absolutely. I agree. If you had the ability to do it all over again, knowing that you were going to get hurt, that your heart was going to get broken, would you do it again just to be in love?
Yeah, probably.
What about you, Olive G? Knowing what you know in the future, say that you know that that you're in a relationship that probably won't be successful. Would you allow yourself to fall in love?
I could try to make it work.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be exactly the same.
That's true. And I think that also relates to the end, because maybe they'll make changes because now they're coming into this
they're
2.0 version of their relationship with clearer eyes and more knowledge and maybe more compassion and empathy towards each other.
Yeah. I mean, that's sort of that is a crazy experience that they are sharing, that they
But what a gift, right?
They can bond over,
Yeah. Gee, same question. If you knew then what you know now, would you allow yourself to fall in love with somebody?
Yeah.
Yeah? Wouldn't even think twice about it.
Nope.
All right, fair enough.
You?
Yeah, absolutely. Although you've never broken my heart, so I'm in the clear.
Mm-hmm.
I too would say that this is probably, it's in my top 3 definitely for love stories. The way that this movie is filmed, the way it is presented, the acting, phenomenal. Everything about this film is just chef's kiss. I'm going to off the bat say this to me is a 10. There's no room for improvement. I wouldn't change anything. It is perfect from start to finish. If you've been in this situation, you understand exactly what Joel is going through. You understand exactly what Clementine is going through. And I think that this is such an interesting way of doing the whole boy meets girl and they fall in love story, because you've seen that story so many times. But the way that it's handled here, and then at the end, how they both know that they are going to disappoint each other, that they are going to fail, that they are going to hurt each other, but they're still willing to go down that road. That is the piece de resistance here, right? That is just, that's amazing. Even though you know that your heart is going to be smashed. And she says it. She's like, you're going to find something. I'm going to get bored. That's just the way it is. And he says, okay. And with that, she also says, okay. And then they laugh. And then you see them frolicking in the snow in Montauk.
Yeah.
by the water. And it is such a beautiful, beautiful story. If you have not seen it, absolutely. I mean, we should own this film, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to get on that. But absolutely check out 2004's Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. A crazy title, but probably one of the better love stories you'll ever witness.
And the title is actually relevant to the story.
Yes, it is. It is. Absolutely. I'm going to go around the table and get numbers. Again, 10 out of 10. No notes. Well done, Michel Gondry.
I would give this because nothing's a 10, but I'd give this like a 9.999.
You are ridiculous.
This is about as close to perfect. This
just round it up.
No.
Shit your ass.
Dad gave it a 9.9, and that's literally a 10. So Dad gave it a 10.
Exactly. Stop playing yourself.
Just you do your thing. I'll do mine.
So technically, Dad gave this movie a 10.
So technically, your father gave this movie a 10.
It's about as close to a 10 as I will ever give a movie. So it's well deserved. It's like everything you said, the acting, the directing, the writing, and it still affects me emotionally. Like it really does. And not many films do that to me.
No.
Like I'll be like, oh, that's great. Or a film will excite me or whatever. But this really gets in my heart, this movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So 9.9.
Gee, what would you give? What would you give this?
I can't think of anything wrong with this, so I'll give it a 10.
Yay! What about you, Olive G?
I give it a 10 too.
Nice. 4 10s as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, it's unanimous.
It's unanimous. Yeah. The case dismissed.
Mm-hmm. I thought that scene where he was jerking off in his mouth.
Of course you would remember that.
Yeah,
of course you would.
No, because it was funny.
It was funny and cringy at the same time.
But it fit the thing. He's trying to hide it in his humiliation. And come on, that's totally
totally humiliating.
Yeah, it just got worse because it was already bad, and his mom walked in.
Yeah. He was jerking off to
he was jerking off to human dog titties.
Yeah, that was a weird scene. I also, before we wrap it up, I also want to call attention to something that he says in the beginning that seems like a theme. He says something, and I'm going to paraphrase, but basically he's like, I have nothing to say. I'm boring. And I think that in this particular relationship, Clementine was the dynamic one. She was the one that...
Yeah.
And in a lot of these types of relationships, you always have someone who's a little bit more reserved, a little bit more introverted, and then you have the more dynamic of the duo. And I think that I love seeing that contrast in film, because I feel like it really speaks to real life. And I think it really speaks to the idea of the yin and the yang, right? Ideally, you're going to be with someone who compliments you, who brings out the best in you. But at the same time, not everything is going to be a bed of roses. So when they're low, you can uplift them. And then when you're low, they should uplift you as well. So I think that seeing that part of the relationship, because I agree with you, I think most of the times in mainstream movies, the idea is, oh, he's perfect and she's perfect and they're going to get together. But then again, there's like some stupid manufactured drama. Oh, his college girlfriend, fiance comes back into town. Will she disrupt the order of the universe kind of thing? Mm-hmm. So a lot of it feels very manufactured drama. I think that in this particular case, everything that happens, everything that's said, everything that these two characters go through felt very rooted in the human experience. I mean, I think that when they wrote the script, obviously they were pulling from their lives.
Yeah.
And it's very, very apparent. And when you watch it, the other lovely thing is how you can relate to it, because while I've had unsuccessful relationships in the past, and obviously not as crazy and frenetic as Joel and Clementine, you do see some of those things. You do see some of the bad things and you see some of the good things. And then it all kind of, to G's point, it's all a part of the tapestry of your own human experience. And I think that kind of like Inside Out, it can't all be sunshine and rainbows. You have to have the quieter moments. You have to have sadness too, to sort of balance the scales, because then you can't appreciate all the good, all the yum stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You got to have the opposite of that too. So, all right. Any other parting thoughts? Anybody?
No.
Anybody? No. I think, again, in this week of Valentine's, I hope that you are healthy and happy. I hope that you get to share your life with your soulmate. And I hope that if you can, absolutely check out Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. And if you have time, check out Harold and Maude. I'm really happy with this double feature this weekend. I'm stoked for sure. All right. I'm going to wrap it up because I don't know what's going on over here. But happy belated, I guess, Valentine's Day. And we will bid you all a
good night.
Good night.
Good night.
I got a Glock in my